So what is a financial modeling? What is a financial modeling? And trust me, this is one area where we all are finance professionals. You will find at the end of these sessions that theoretically you might be aware of all the functions, ratios which we are discussing, right? Not very complex things are there, but we have somehow left it behind. So it becomes very important for us to have a refresher of all the ratios. Okay, and our first exercise would be based on calculating the ratios, right? And then we will move forward from there. As a second step, we will be doing pyramid of ratios. Okay, but we will build together a pyramid of ratios and we'll try to read it. Okay, and then we will start building on a few things. The first model which we will build is a 3-statement model. We all are aware we have 3 major statements. What are those? Balance sheet, profit and loss account, and cash flow statements, right? So with the our financial modeling, the base statements would be our 3-statement model. Okay, that we will build, and I will share the formats also with you, so that even by making a smaller tweak, you can build these ratios and models for your company or for your clients, whatever is required. Okay, and then we will do some kind of specific modelings like DCF. Okay, sensitivity analysis. These are a couple of things which we will do, but we will talk about a little bit on leverage buyout and merger acquisitions as well. Okay, now just a quick glimpse and summary. I will not go through each and every word of it, because we all are finance professionals. I don't want to, take you through all these things, but few things which I feel is important is accounts receivable days ratios, right? Which gives an indications to us that how many days our account receivable turns into cash basis the sale we have. Okay. Then you have asset turnover ratio, which says each rupee of asset invested will result in how much earning of sales. Okay. Then all this is actually self-explanatory. You may like to go through it. Cash flow statements and common stock is your share capital. You can read it as your share capital. Okay. DCF is what? Discounted cash flow through time value of money. Okay. Other things, COGS, um, surplus, coverage ratios, etc. You all may be aware of. All the ratios, whatever ratios are there on this sheet, I will be doing it in a lot of detail. Okay, so this is just all the terminologies of the financial statements which I have given it to you for your quick reference. Okay, it can be your reference document. Okay, now we will come to our main subject, which is what we are focusing right now is analysis of financial statement. Look, once you want to make a model, first it is very important to understand the current financial statement itself, right? And what are these financial statements? They are income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow. We all know, right? Now, how do you do the analysis? You do the analysis in 2 forms. One, horizontal analysis, and one, vertical analysis. What is horizontal analysis? Horizontal is when you compare with companies, or when you compare with years, right? So vertical analysis is what? So when you analyze a company for its, let's say, gross profit or net profit, okay, that is what? That is vertical or horizontal? That is vertical or horizontal analysis? Vertical analysis, right? That is vertical analysis when you do on a standalone basis. When you do a analysis for a company for last 4-5 years, okay, or with comparative companies, that is called as horizontal analysis. Okay, We will do some examples of both in our sessions. Okay, so let us move forward. When you do financial analysis, there are some key ratios which you use, whether you do vertical analysis or you do horizontal analysis, right? So financial analysis you do through reading of the financial statements, interpretation of the financial results, and you do by using the trend and ratio analysis. So trend is horizontal, right? Trend analysis is also because whether my sale is growing year on year, or how my sales or gross profit ratio is standing as compared to other companies, right? So we do lot of things here in trend and ratio analysis, right? And how do you do trend and ratio analysis? You do a pyramid ratio analysis. Okay, and we will build this pyramid ratio analysis, so just hold with me on that. But we will more focus today on the basic ratio analysis. Okay, so we will focus today on what, how do you read financial statement. One of the method of reading and interpreting financial statement is going through ratio analysis. So we are finance people and somehow we use these ratios, right? And all these ratios and trends are available very freely and quickly on the internet, and we read it and we analyze it. Here what we will do is, apart from these high level ratios which are mostly primary ratios, we will go into the depth of each ratio, right? And then we will move forward from there. So how many kind of ratios do you have? How many kind of ratios do you have? You have two kind of ratios, right? One is performance ratios and the other is financial leverage ratios, right? And financial leverage ratio again has liquidity ratio and solvency ratio, right? We will talk about it. Performance ratios have two type of ratios. One is profitability ratio, and which gives efficiency ratios, right? So we have majorly two kind of ratios: performance ratios and financial leverage ratios. Okay, and then these are again broken down into profit ratios and efficiency ratios, which are part of performance ratios, and your liquidity ratio and solvency ratio, which is part of your financial leverage ratio. Now you see, when you do vertical analysis, you have so many ratios which are there. Net income by sales ratio, right? Taxes by sales ratio, operating income by sales ratio, operating cost by sales, gross profit by sales, right? Personal cost by sales. So all these ratios, you can take it on sales as one of your key drivers. Okay, so this type of ratios, where do you use? You use in your vertical analysis, right? These are all basis your sales, right? In the horizontal analysis, whatever type of item you take, whether you take sales, whether you take taxes, whether you take expenses, it can show either of these trends, right? It can be a increasing trend, it can be a decreasing trend, constant decreasing trend. This is a constant increasing trend. This is a linear growth, right? This is a linear decrease. This is a flat. This is up and down, right? So these kind of analysis result you may get when you do horizontal ratio analysis, right? Now again, we are coming back to the same thing which we have discussed: profitability ratio, efficiency ratio, liquidity ratio, and solvency ratio, right? Now what I will do is, let us go through and understand a little bit on these ratios. Okay, what are the key ratios which we will be using? And there can be hundreds and thousands of ratios, okay, which I have given in a Word file which is called as 400A, the file number 400A. Okay, Okay, all the ratios which we will be dealing in our initial classes are written here. So gross profit ratio is what? Is a profitability ratio. And what is the formula? Gross profit by sales. We all know this, a very, very important and critical ratio. The second profitability ratio is operating profit margin, right? What is that operative profit margin? Earning before interest and tax. Now you see in your financial statements, when you read, you may not get this word straightforward because the standards which are there does not recognize this earning before interest and tax. If you go through the SEBI, you may find this clearly, but in the financial statements, there is no such item as earning before interest and tax. Okay, you have earning before tax, not earning before interest and tax. So to calculate this through a financial statement, you might need to add interest on earning before interest and tax and by sales. Okay, so this is an operating profit margin. So right now what I'm doing, guys, through this word file, I'm trying to explain these ratios, and what we will do over a period in our classes, we will try to understand the meaning of these ratios also. Okay, that what does each ratio represent and how do we read it. Okay, net profit, I think one of the best ratios, and everyone is bothered about net profits, right? Which is after considering all the expenses except, or I would not say except, but it does not include the distribution to the equity shareholders, right? It has all the expenses. It has interest, depreciation, taxes, everything you will deduct and come to net income. Net income by sales is your net income ratio, right? Net income profit ratio or net income ratio, whatever you can term it. Great. That's how you calculate. And now these ratios becomes very, very important. Net profit ratios represent how profitable your company is. This is actually the bottom line ratio. Everyone works for this ratio. You can say it's one of the mother ratios basically, right? Gross profit ratio also is very, very important, that at operational level, how are you performing? How the company is performing at operational level. Okay, and when we build our models, we will see each ratio will have a different importance in every scenario. Okay, let us go down. Tax ratios. Tax expense upon pre-tax income. Now tell me, what does a tax expense ratio represent to you? What will this tell you about a company? Tax expense upon pre-tax income. There is something wrong. If you are a tax professional, or if you are a consultant, or if you are an employee of the company, this should raise an alarm bell to read more about what's happening around taxes, right? So it gives you that, it gives you some indication, some excess provision, some past dues which you have paid, which you will find in the in the notes. So that means if your tax expense is 40%, there is something exceptional sitting there. And when you are doing your budgeting, planning, forecasting, financial modeling, you may want to exclude that exceptional item, right? So you would require to read the financial statement and come up with these kind of issues, right? Interest coverage ratio, how well, how well you are covered, right? How well your interest expense, which is a very critical expense in today's day, is covered by your operating income, which is earning before interest, tax, and depreciation and amortization, right? That means your, can we term this as cash operating earning? Cash operating earning. right? Because depreciation and amortization is a non-cash item. You have already spent about that, right? And you are not paying interest and tax on that, correct? So how well your earnings cover your interest expenses, correct? If this ratio would have been, and I'm telling you with a lot of responsibility, if this ratio would have been analyzed very thoroughly by our, by, I don't know who, but anyone, they can indicate that the company is going for a disaster. The lower the interest coverage ratio is, right, the higher the risk of you doing a default on your loan is. Because if you are not able to cover your interest properly by your operating margins, operating income, how would you pay the installments on the loans, right? That's what has happened. Those companies, and I would suggest those who have gone flat on the bank loan default, open up their financial statement for last 3-4 years and analyze these ratios for those companies. You will yourself find out that it was so obvious. You will say, yeah, it was so obvious, why anyone has not caught it? The point is, because we are so much involved, right? Because we are so much involved in our day-to-day activities and doing our own KRA and KPIs, that we have stopped analyzing the financial statements. Now, next is asset turnover ratio. What does asset turnover ratio denotes? So, asset turnover ratio means that each rupee which you have invested in an asset, how much revenue it is generating. Can I say in this simple terms? Your total turnover is 1 lakh. Your asset is 50,000. That means each rupee which you are spending on your asset is generating 2 rupees of sales for you. Simple. I'm just keeping it very, very simple, and we will keep it very simple throughout. We will not make it complicated. So then after getting the number, okay, you can say that company is utilizing these assets which are efficiently or not efficiently. Now, let me give you some examples here. There is one company whose asset turnover ratio is 5, one company whose asset turnover ratio is 10, one company whose asset turnover ratio is 15. So that is what I'm saying, that some of the ratios, the point here is that some of the ratios to interpret, you need some more information. Some of the ratios can be interpreted individually, like current asset ratio, right? Even gross profit ratio, net profit ratio, all these ratios which are efficiency and profitability ratios needs to be looked at in a holistic way, in a holistic picture, with their past performance as well as the performance of the industry and sector, right? So we will keep on building like this, okay? Inventory turnover ratios can be calculated in two ways: number of days and as a ratio. Okay, as a ratio, the formula is cost of sales upon inventory. It comes as a number. It comes as a number, that how many times and how quickly you rotate your inventory. But when we will do our analysis, the inventory turnover ratio in days is a more appropriate measurement, means more readable measurement, I would say. Appropriate, this is also appropriate, but when we talk about accounts receivable, accounts payable, and inventory turnover ratio, we will talk about ratios in number of days. Okay, so then the formula becomes reverse: inventory into 365 by cost of sales. It will give you some number of days. Okay, and these number of days will again represent a lot of thing about your company, whether there is a inventory pile up in your company, it will tell that. Okay, now this ratio again can be looked at as individually or in comparison with other companies. Accounts payable ratio, accounts receivable ratio in the number of days is the same. Accounts receivable into 365 by sales, right? So what happens is the driver is on the numerator, and cost of sales or sales is on denominator to calculate the number of days. Okay. Debt to tangible net worth ratio, right? Again, interest bearing liabilities upon your equity, but you will adjust with what? Intangible assets, mostly goodwill. Okay. Now, this ratio is again used for a very specific reasons and specific items, right? Where you will use this kind of a ratio? You will use this kind of a ratio, let's say, for a company like a Kingfisher kind of a thing, right? Maybe because they have kept a long items on the purchased goodwill in their balance sheet, but it does not have much of the value, right? So again, you know, we are going through all the ratios, but in the industry or in a scenario, one ratio can become more important than other ratios. So please keep in mind, we are reading these ratios. We will in these couple of weeks will try to read as much as possible about the numbers, about the trends. Okay, so that you guys would be aware of how to use which ratio, where to use. Okay, total liability to equity ratio, again simple, total liability upon equity. Total asset to equity ratio, total asset upon equity. Okay, then again you have margin impact ratio, which is EBIT upon sales. Asset turnover ratio we have seen, PPE turnover ratio we have seen. Working capital turnover ratio is sales upon working capital, right? It is working capital. It the number gives an indication the effectiveness upon the working capital. Total asset to equity ratio is your total asset to equity. Again, this also gives an indication that how leveraged the company is, because if again if it is an unleveraged company, this would be 1. Correct. So these are high level ratios which we have covered. Okay, now you see this is the pyramid of ratios. Okay, and this is calculated, and we will do this calculation in our Excel sheet also. The pyramid of ratio calculation we will do in our Excel sheet also. But let us see, you have net income by equity. This is mother of all ratios, right? Then it is made up of these ratios in different levels. The primary ratios are 3: net income by sales, sales by total assets, and total assets by equity. And we have learned all these ratios, right? We have looked at all these ratios in our earlier discussion. Okay, so these are called as 3 levers of net income by equity. Okay, so if you multiply all these 3 ratios, you will get net income by equity. This is the your primary ratios. Okay, so any pyramid of ratios will have these 3 ratios on the top. Then you have secondary ratios. Okay, which is operating income by sales. So it is giving you net income by sales, sales by total assets, and total assets by equity. Look, what I have done is I have just typed in. Is it visible now? Okay, I have typed in those 3 levers basically. Okay, and how your this thing net income by, I'm saying this is net income by equity, which is my mother ratio. This is my mother ratio, is actually a function of these 3 ratios. And if I multiply this, I can't put a if I multiply this, okay, I will just ignore the formatting bit for this. Okay. If I multiply these three ratios, okay, it is going to give me the same result which I am talking about. How it will happen? We will not go to numbers again. Conceptually, you see, if you multiply one such equation, what will happen? Sales will get knocked off with sales, right? Total assets will get knocked off with total assets. What will left is your net income by equity. So can we say that net income by equity can be better understood by dividing it into these three ratios? So isn't it a drill down of this net income, these three mother ratios? From this mother ratio, three sub ratios, primary ratios, right? Okay, great. I will go back to my pyramid of ratios. This is the pyramid of ratios. Okay. The blue color is the primary ratios. Okay. Blue color is the, so return on equity. If you multiply these three numbers, it will tentatively give you approximately this number. You can do it for all the years. So you see, this is a pyramid of ratios for 5 years of a company, right? So you can say that there is a constant increase by just looking at the top level detail of this company. You can say that there is a constant increase in the return on equity of the company, which gives you a very good comfort that yes, your company overall is doing really good. Now you look at it, okay, from where this contribution is coming from. When you have reached to 32% from 18%, from where this contribution is coming from, right? Are you utilizing your assets well through these two ratios, or your net profit margin is increasing? But you see, your net profit margin has been little volatile. So in the first year, in the 2007, there might be some contribution because of net profit increase, right? In the second year also there might be some contribution, but in the third year and in the fourth year, net profit has gone down, but still your return on equity have increased. So that means your total asset to equity, right, and your asset turnover has increased. So you see, there has been a constant increase in your asset turnover ratio. That means your scale have increased. What does it say? What does this ratio say? Technically, your scale of operation has increased, but per 100 rupees of sales which you did resulted into a lesser net profit earning for your company. And there has been a better, uh, you know, asset to equity ratio has also increased. But in this current situation, these two things plays an important role in making that what is contributing to this return on equity. So you don't have to go through the numbers of a company, you don't have to go through the balance sheet of the company. If your ratios are well managed, here you can easily say, if my net profit is not increasing, right, that means my turnover has increased, which has compensated a better return on equity for me. That means it should come from better asset turnover ratio. Now, second level, we will go to the second level. Second level, we have few ratios, right, which are capital structure impact ratio, that how your capital structure has moved from 1.16, it has moved to 1.01, right? So leveraging is decreasing in this. Tax ratio somehow has been consistent, but there has been some dip in the mid of the year, 67.58. Okay. Working capital turnover ratio, again from 5 it has dipped, but it has come back on the top, right? Tax ratio hai, you have PPE to capital asset turnover ratio, right? So you have this ratio also, which has shown some up and down, right? What we will do when we will do the practicals of it, we will go into more details of one ratio at one time. EBITDA margin, you see EBITDA margin is also on a decline basically, right? Earning before interest and tax is also on a decline, which matches to our conclusion of net profit basically, right? Which matches to our conclusion that there has been, so one thing which you can conclude here is there has been a shrink or a pressure on the margins on this company, but at the same time company is able to utilize its assets well enough and able to penetrate in the market to increase its sales. Now we don't have the absolute number of sales here, right? But if we have, this is just a sample basically, this is just a sample. So if we have an absolute number, our conclusion would definitely be corroborate with the facts which we will have. Okay, so that is how our secondary ratios are there. Okay, so now we will do some calculations of the ratios which we have discussed, because once we will have to do a practice of calculating these ratios, then we will do this kind of calculation, the pyramid calculation which we have seen. But let us do gross profit margin to sales. Where is gross profit? Gross profit by sales, right? This will become your gross profit margin, correct? Earning before interest and tax. Here look, in this question it is giving very clearly earning before interest and tax, right? But in all the questions it may not be, or in the practical scenario you might have to calculate earning before interest and tax, right? But you see, reading is very important. So before that is all your depreciation and amortization, right? And all your SG&A and other expenses, right? And below is interest expense and all that. So it is interest expense which will come down and your taxes will come down, right? So you will have to understand that fact. Net income, net income means at the bottom, but before distribution to the shareholders. Okay, net income to sales ratio. So you see it's a declining trend, and which has to be, right? 7.6, 5.5, 3.9. Now we will calculate one efficiency ratio, which is tax ratio. And what is that? Tax expenses. Tax expenses. So because it is negative, what we will do? We will put a negative here, okay? By your income before tax. So how much percentage of tax I am paying on my profit before taxes is 29.5%, right? Solvency ratio, earning before interest and tax. How much is my earning before interest and tax? By, divided by my interest expense, right? So 9.03 is my solvency ratio. I'm using the minus sign, right? You, when you are doing practically, you may or may not required to use a minus sign. I'm using a minus sign only because here it is minus. Getting my point? If I don't use a minus sign, this ratio will come into minus, which may not give a right kind of a reflection basically, right? So we did a vertical analysis. Now we are doing a horizontal analysis basically on the same items, right? Basically on the same items. So what is that? Gross profit by sales. So gross profit by sales, correct? Now what you can do, this formula, this shortcut will be very, very helpful for you. Okay, so I have done one formula calculation, selected all and pressed what? Control R. Okay, so it will copy the formula to all the other cells, right? Control R, because this is one formula which we will be using. Now EBIT, earning before interest and tax to sales, earning before interest and tax, earning before interest and tax by sales, right? Now we will do what? Control R. Look, very helpful formula. Net profit margin, net profit upon sales. Okay. Control R. Efficiency ratios. Tax expense by earning before tax. So tax expense, again, I will use a minus sign here. Tax expense divided by this thing. Okay. Control R. Earning before interest by interest expenses. Earning before interest divided by, again, I will do a minus here, and interest expenses, right? Control R I will do, right? So now let us see these ratios, right? What does it say? What does these ratios say? That your gross profit margin has increased in the second year a little bit, but for next 2 years it was around flattish, then again showed a little bit of improvement. So that means this company which we are analyzing is showing a little bit improvement on its gross margin, right? Basis the last year's trend. Okay. So how is their operating margin doing? But operating margins are little having a little bit of pressure on that, because it has actually decreased. Operating margin has actually decreased. And why it might have happened? It might have happened because of the increase in depreciation, right? It might have happened because of the increase in depreciation, correct? Because other items are not that significant. The significant item which you can see is the depreciation item. That is where the margins are decreasing, right? Then net income is showing an improvement. It has shown a good improvement in this year, right? Maybe there may be different reasons for that. One of them may be the interest income and other income. That is where you see even your gross margins are stable, and your net income is still showing a little bit of improvement, is because of the other items which are coming. So when you do this, no, you will get a good indication about which direction the company is going, and then you can analyze the numbers to the depth, because just looking at this will not make any sense to you. These are all numbers and numbers. So you will have to convert it into a readable language where you can make some sense out of these numbers, right? Then you can again go back and do some mathematics to identify the key differences. And there can be various factors for these increase and decrease contribution, but you can identify some major factors, right? Tax expense is again kind of a flattish, but it has reduced. This might have happened because of some better management of this thing, of tax management, or some government policies and all that you have used. So look guys, tax management is different from tax evasion. So we are not here talking about tax evasion anyway. We are talking about tax management. You might have moved to a tax-free zone, or where there are tax incentives which are given. So there is something which has happened which may need little bit of more information and reading of the notes to the financial statements, right? And then you have EBITDA margin, right? Here we have efficiency ratios. So we will calculate inventory, receivable, payable, right? And working capital funding gap. Can anyone tell me what is working capital funding gap? Working capital funding gap. So we will talk about it. When we will come to this, we will talk about the working capital funding gap also. right? So let us calculate the inventory turnover ratio. Cost of sales. So what is cost of sales? Cost of sales is here. Again, there is a negative item. So cost of sales, again, because it is minus, I'm just putting a minus so that the ratio comes correctly, okay, by inventory. So this is my cost of sales of inventory. I will do it for all the years, right? Cost of sales of inventory or inventory turnover ratio, right? Now, this inventory turnover ratio, number of days gives me a little better picture. So let me do that way. Inventory into 365, right, for 1 year divided by cost of sales. Okay, so 14 days is my inventory turnover ratio. Because I have done it with 365, the answer is coming in days, right? So there is a lockup which has increased in the inventory thing, right? The lockup has increased, right? Which is there, correct? So the days have actually increased. They have increased up to 20 and 19 days, but there has been 1 day decline. But from 14, it has increased to 19, right? So that means company is holding more inventory nowadays, correct? That's what this ratio depicts. Sales upon, now sales upon turnover. Where is sales? Sales upon debtors, right? Accounts receivable. So you have this data also, correct? But again, we will calculate which makes sense for us. Receivables, receivables into 365 divided by my turnover, right? So see how efficiently we are collecting our debtors. This ratio says how efficiently we are collecting our debtors. So you see, still we have been giving more credit days to debtors, right? So our inventory pileup has increased. We are giving more inventory days to the debtors. That means our working capital is in pressure, right? Because of these increase in days, correct? 5 day increase in inventory and close to 4 days increase in my receivables, right? So around 9 days of working capital lockup is there, right? Now we will see payable turnover ratio, cost of sales. Again, I will put a minus because it's in negative, divided by my payables, right? Accounts payables, correct? Now I'll put this ratio like that. And again, what I will do, I will calculate the payables turnover ratio. I will do payables turnover ratio. What I will do is payables into accounts payables into 365 divided by my sales, right? So this is my payables turnover in number of days. Now you see what is the funding gap. What is the funding gap? Okay, funding gap is, and let us, so funding gap is where an all my working capital is getting logged. Here it is getting logged. Here it is getting logged, right? But here I am getting some funding, correct? Working capital funding gap, right? So what is it? It is between your inventory, which is getting logged, receivables, which is getting logged, but you are getting credit period from the suppliers, right? That is how your working capital funding gap is calculated. Okay, so here you are actually getting your working capital funded from your suppliers, right? And then you have, next is sales by PPE ratio. So sales, how efficiently you are utilizing your property, plant and equipment. It may or may not give a correct picture of any specific things, okay? But for capital intensive unit, Sanak, we will check that, not an issue. Okay, okay, so this is how this needs to be calculated. Okay,